One. Julie? Okay, Julie, come on down, please. And just as a reminder before you start, Julie, that anyone that wishes to speak, please sign in, and they'll be given 3 minutes to speak. And please come to the microphone, and it would be the same for our department heads. Okay, Julie.
Sorry, I just got discombobulated with the screening.
I
just wanted to know if there's any updates on Quasar, and then any updates on the Niagara Sanitation landfill suit as well.
There's no updates on the
Quasar
biosolid case. As I mentioned, I think last time the Article 78 went to oral arguments in Albany, and all the papers were sent back and forth. I know, Julie, you had asked for copies of some, and I think you saw there were quite a few, at least on one side, and that's not, I think there may even have been some more, but the court is going through them, and we don't have a response from the court yet, so based on the amount of paperwork, since it was last month, I would think we'll have a decision hopefully within a couple of weeks, but I can't guarantee that. So there's nothing on that front. On the landfill case, there's no new developments. It's just proceeding along with the depositions and...
there is an actual case filed, right? It's in motion now that it's a lawsuit, or is it still the intention?
Well, there has been numerous, I think, maybe even more than 150 notices of claims, and followed through and filed and turned into lawsuits has probably been about 70% of those, maybe 60-70% have actually joined the lawsuit. Other ones have not as of yet. And so yes, there is a lawsuit. There's initial depositions going on, and I think I mentioned last time that just recently the plaintiffs sought to bring in a couple other defendant companies, and they're just getting their feet wet, so they're doing answers, motions, whatever they want to do to try to either protect themselves or pull themselves out or say it's not them, what have you.
It's just going through the process then, and
Yeah, very early on. I mean, a case like this could literally go on for dozens of years, literally.
Okay.
So early on in it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. Approval of the minutes, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes accepted. January 22nd, 2018. Bill payment. We have voucher number 2018001 to 201800093 for a total of $170,528. I'm sorry, the total is $192,567.83. Can I have a motion to approve it, please?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion? Have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? Comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Department heads. Paul Siegman. Paulie's not here, huh? I bet he's still thinking 7:30. Okay. Richie Donner. How you feeling, Richie?
We're doing good. Threw a water and sewer tap in out on Sozeric a week and a half ago, and today we completed a water tap over on Brent Drive for a new house. Also put the sewer in earlier, or I should say later last week. Mr. Rizzani was doing a road crossing for it, so we were over there today and finished that job up. Other than that, we're just trying to keep up with the regular maintenance and take care of the weather situations.
All right, Richie, thank you. Recreation Director, Mike Brunelli.
Just a couple of things. This Saturday, 12 to 2, will be our 3rd annual Winterfest. We were going to have a bounce house, arts and crafts for the children, a movie, animal encounters, snowshoeing. Looks like we're going to have snow finally this year. The first year we're going to actually have snow on the ground, which should be fun. And then Cornell University reached out to us at the end of 2017 and they have a grant for, like, food cooking classes for children. So we're going to come up with a schedule and incorporate that later this spring, but I just wanted to throw that out there and thought that was pretty cool that they picked us out of some of the townships in the area. And lastly, we have pickleball that's going on, and just an update, that's been receptive very well. Tom, thank you for hooking me up with Scott. I did talk to Scott, and Scott McKay, he's with the US APA. He's our local rep for the region, and he's going to help advertise for us, and that's going to help get the word out to the area. A lot of the players, a lot of the places that players do play, so that should help boost our revenue in that department. Other than that, that's all I got.
Mike, I thought I read something about how there's going to be a food truck.
There is. Yeah. Dickey's, what's it called? Dickey's Barbecue Pit Food Truck. We had one 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was the Dirty Bird Food Truck, which is fried chicken and waffles, which is amazing. It's a 2-hour event, so we have catered this. It just wouldn't work logistically if we catered it. We cater our senior dances, we cater our banquets. Obviously, we have vendors at the town picnic. For this event for 2 hours, having a vendor come in and cater it. So what we thought was to something outside the box, and we looked high and low for a Wheatfield company that would do food trucks, but unfortunately, none of the restaurants do. So last year it fell through because all the food trucks, like, they were out of season in January when we had the event. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we pushed the event back. 2 years ago, they were all at canal sides. So it's kind of just, you never know when you're going to be able to get something. But we also have the Lions Club. I did forget the Lions Club. They donate the hot chocolate, coffee, and volunteer to serve it, and it's all free. So they definitely get a big round of applause for that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Nice job. Mike Locke will not be here tonight. He's at another meeting that he could not miss. Bridget, the assessor's office.
Good evening. I have absolutely nothing for you tonight, but if you have anything for me.
Anybody have anything for Bridget? Thank you, Bridget. Tim Zuber, Wendell Engineering. I'm sorry, Arlene Manty. Excuse me, Arlene. I've done that twice now. I'm sorry, Arlene? Oh, okay. But I want you to know I was in pain for 2 days afterwards. My feet were so sore I could hardly walk on them. Thank you, Arlene. That's what it's all about, I guess, huh? And hope to see you this Friday, Arlene. Right. Thank you, Arlene. Anybody have anything for Arlene? Any other town employees that wish to speak? Wendell. I think I've done this to you 2 weeks in a row, haven't I, Tim?
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm going to rearrange it on the schedule, I think. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. We just have a couple quick things on our agenda this evening. The first one being our 2018 proposal for MS4 Speedy's permit assistance. Every year, the town has to summarize and put in a report to the DEC to summarize, document activities that are required by our general permit, or Speedy's permit for an MS4. So every year we request authorization to help complete the annual report that's required by the DEC. We have to have a draft of that report done by the beginning of May so we can have a presentation at one of our May board meetings because the report is due by the 1st of June. We also have a quick public information session when we do that presentation. If there's any questions on it, we can answer those. And finally, it's general assistance for the town with implementation of their MS4 program. Last year we did a lot of work helping Lou Anastasi get his feet wet, and no pun intended, with the stormwater part of the town. The remainder of our proposal is just to be available time and expense-wise at his need. So we have a motion that'll come up with motions. I just wanted to answer if there's any questions on that proposal.
Gentlemen, any questions? Of Tim now?
The second item on our agenda has to do with the proposed changes to the town's sign law. We've been discussing this for a while, and as you recall, we talked about doing updates to signage and lighting, but since we've been looking into this, we've determined that lighting is not something that was within our realm of being able to recoup the cost for. Each one of the lights is paid for on an annual basis. There is no upfront installation cost. But we did come up with suggested modifications to the sign law that will help the highway department recoup the cost of putting in street signs and traffic signs in subdivisions. So I included that verbiage again in our packet, but really all we're requesting tonight when you get to the motions is to set a public information meeting, or is it a public hearing? I have to be careful with what words we use. I believe it's a public hearing on that for the next board meeting. So that is really all that's on my agenda tonight. When we get to the motions, I can answer any questions that are on those again. There was also a late minute addition that I think Larry might touch on regarding a public information meeting for that trail, so please call me up if you have any questions on that.
We discussed that a little earlier tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That's it, Tim?
Yep.
Thank you. Matt, you want to go through motions?
Yes. Okay, first motion was one of those mentioned by Tim. It's from Wendell. Motion to authorize Wendell to provide stormwater management program assistance for the year 2018 in accordance with the proposal letter dated February 1st, 2018 for a time and expense estimated fee of $6,000.
Have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion, again from Wendell, to schedule a public hearing on proposed changes to the signage requirements of the Town Code, Chapter 169, Subdivision of Land, on a date to be determined as part of the motion, and a location as well.
You gentlemen want to set up a date now for the public hearing?
Sure.
Larry?
How much time do you need? Is the next meeting good enough? Do you want to do
I
the
would
first meeting
think,
in March or the last meeting in...
it's just making some adjustments in an existing law for, so that we're covered for the cost of signage. So,
We have to have it published and posted at least 10 days before, so it might be a little tight. When's our next meeting? Our next meeting is...
last Monday.
Oh, is it?
It's 3 weeks out,
Oh,
I
it's
think.
3 weeks, so we have a little more time in that case.
and that date is what, Kathy, offhand, do you know?
February 26th,
26th?
I think. 27th is a Tuesday.
January 26th? Okay, 15 minutes should be enough for that, I would imagine. 6:45, good for you, Kurt? I know you have to...
Yeah, that's
Okay. January 26th at 6:45.
February.
Yeah, oh, good, Don. February 26th at 6:45. Did we get a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second on the question.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Oh, you had a question? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Larry.
Now, this is just signage. Initially, we were talking signs, and you mentioned briefly in your report about streetlights for new subdivisions. Now, when do we tackle streetlights? Because we don't want to...
So what we had determined with our conversations with National Grid is what we had thought had happened is that there's an initial cost that's given to the town to install the streetlights, and then it's followed by a yearly, basically a maintenance fee, maintenance and power fee. But what it actually is there is no initial installation cost. It's just an
Well, there
annual
is.
fee,
I mean,
period.
we've been hit a couple of times, if I remember, on some, Parkside, I think, for instance. There was a couple of street lights, wasn't there, gentlemen? Have
Yeah, we added them.
We had to add them, and it was an added cost to the town.
Well, it is, but it's not like a $5,000 initial installation cost. They'll come back and they'll say your first annual cost is gonna be $5,000 for all these lights. Do you know what I mean?
I think what we were after, not even just to avoid the cost, but the subdivisions are put in, you've got roads and streets that are put in, and while they are under construction, they've got model homes out there. The town board's not alerted to the fact that we need lights there until the dedication's done by the town attorney, you know, and the streets are dedicated to us. Then we're asked at that point in time to put a street light up on a corner or an intersection or a bend in the road, even fire protection, and it's after the fact, and we're trying to get these lights in while these roads are being put in, have the developers put them in, and they're there while the construction's going on instead of putting them in after the construction's done.
Tim, let me ask you a
Does that
question.
make sense? Am I?
By changing this, law to affect the signage, so the developer pays for the signage, will it have any effect on the lights if we do further research on the lights? Shouldn't it?
No, it's gonna be separate from the
Okay.
lights.
So let's finish the motion on the signage, and then we can
Okay.
address that at another time, Larry?
Okay.
Okay?
And I know the town is looking into other things with the lights, as far as with energy savings,
Yeah.
grants and everything.
Yeah.
Were that to happen, then there would be easier ways to recoup the cost of those, of lights, and we can talk more about that.
Those would be more about the existing infrastructure and the existing lights, and we're talking about new lights.
Right. I'll have to explain it more to you.
Okay.
Okay, Larry, I think we had a motion. Did we get a second on that motion?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. February 26th, 6:45, we have a public hearing. Go ahead, Matt.
Next motion from our grant writer and the town board. Whereas the town board desires to continue the process of acquiring the funds to complete the town of Wheatfield Municipal Agricultural and Farmland Implementation Plan, to review farmland zoning laws, and whereas the town board desires to apply for financial assistance from the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets Program, and whereas the town board commits to providing the required $1,000 in local matching funds in cash to ensure the timely implementation of the proposed project, now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes and submits an application for the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets Program for the Wheatfield Municipal Agricultural and Farmland Implementation Plan in the total project amount of $20,000, and will request $15,000 in grant funding. And be it further resolved, the town board authorizes the supervisor to sign all documents and agreements related to the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets Program application. And be it further resolved that Don McSwan, as supervisor of the town of Wheatfield, is hereby authorized and directed to file an application for grant funds from the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets Program in an amount of $15,000 of the approved funding, and upon approval of said request to enter into and execute a project agreement with the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets Program for such financial assistance to the town of Wheatfield for the proposed town of Wheatfield Municipal Agriculture and Farmland Implementation Plan.
Motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second? Second on the motion, gents? I think we've already, this has already been addressed. I think it's just a matter of increasing, an additional $250 to cover it, am I correct?
We're just approving the grant, or
It's increasing it, I believe, and Bernie's here, but it's increasing it by our contribution of $250 to get a larger grant amount.
That's all.
The maximum grant dollar amount is $15,000, and when we submitted the earlier application, we went out at a budget of $18,750. State came back and said, why don't you maximize your grant dollar amount to the $15,000, but that would also include a $250 increase on our cash contribution towards that.
So
Overall
the only
project is-
increase we're talking about now is $250 for the
Correct,
additional
from the
money.
last approval, that is correct.
Thank you, Bernie.
You're welcome.
Can I have a motion, please?
I think Kurt made the motion.
yeah,
You made the motion? Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Next motion, from Town Board and GHD Consulting Services. Motion to approve and authorize the Town Supervisor, Don McSwan, to execute and enter into an agreement with GHD Consulting Services, Inc. to provide certain agreed-upon engineering services to the Town of Wheatfield for the year of 2018.
Motion, please.
So moved.
And second?
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Excuse my voice. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, next motion, it's from the Town Court, to authorize the Town Court to rehire Melinda Agnello to the Assistant Town Court Clerk position. Said rehiring is pursuant to Assistant Court Clerk position job specifications and a rate of pay as delineated in the 2018 Town Court budget. Said rehiring is subject to a Niagara County Sheriff's Department background check.
Just to comment, this money has been in the budget. It's just a matter of rehiring another person in the court. Can I have a motion, gentlemen?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Highway Department to authorize the increase of the residential driveway culvert pipe permit fee from $25 to $100, and to authorize the increase of the residential yard culvert pipe permit fee from $25 to $50. Said increases are effective immediately for any permit applications filed after the date of the passage of this motion.
So moved.
A second? Questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Highway Department again, to authorize the Highway Department to change the traffic light at Sawyer Drive and Plaza Drive to a three-way stop with a signal light flashing red in all directions.
Can I have a motion? Gents? Questions?
The light that's there now
Yes.
is going to get relocated?
I know Paulie wasn't here for the report, and if we could just interrupt. Paulie, do you want to explain what your intentions are with this light, and then we'll go on with a motion, please?
Basically, we're going to use the same light that's there, switch it from an actual signal light that changes green, yellow, red, to just a red blinking light in all three directions. One of the reasons is this light is getting old. And when it comes time to replace these, I've had estimates. I've been waiting for a company to give me a more precise amount, but I've heard anywhere $250,000 to redo this. The last time we had him out to repair it, he told us everything's rotted out inside the box. It ain't going to be that much longer before that's shot. So this is one step moving towards that, to turning it into just a three-way stop. We want to leave it a blinking light for a while to keep people aware that it's still a stop sign. You still have to stop there. We don't have the traffic around the mall like we used to. I mean, there isn't what it was. So it's one way of lowering some of our costs. And every time they come out to repair that light, it's always few $1,000. So, if there's any other questions on it,
So it's going to be red in three directions?
it'll be red in three directions, blinking red.
But I think we discussed this with Paulie earlier this week, and I think the ultimate intention over there, and if anybody's been behind the mall, the traffic isn't there as it used to be, and I think we're all familiar with that. And to replace that light again is a $300,000, according to Randy today, it's $300,000.
I missed with Randy when he had a chance to tell, but I knew it was expensive.
So, and the fact that, and I think what Paulie's intention also is to give it like a 6-month cool-down period so they're used to the red light, and then eventually going to stop signs with signage indicating that signal change ahead or signage change ahead, so that the seniors And anybody going through there will have time to become accustomed to it.
We aren't the only municipality doing it. I mean,
No.
if you drive through North Tonawanda, you can see that they've been eliminating some of their signals too, that
Sure.
it's a
And-
really
and-
expensive
And to
cost.
point out, it's not a high-traffic area either any longer.
Right.
Not like it used to be.
Any
Thank
other
you,
questions?
Polly. Do you have anything else for us, Polly, while you're up?
No.
Long as it's short.
No, no.
I'm kidding.
I had a personal thing going on. I forgot about the 7, or starting at 7.
We knew that,
Changed
Paul.
me up. It screwed
We
me
knew.
up.
Well, you know, Polly, we're gonna have the meeting start at 7. We'll have you at 7:30. How's that?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion is from the town board and town attorney. Motion to approve and authorize the town supervisor, Don McSwan, to execute the fire protection contracts with all 5 local volunteer fire companies, as all of the wording of said fire protection contracts have been approved by the town attorney and the attorneys for the 5 companies. The resolution authorizes the town supervisor to execute all 5 agreements for the years 2018 to 2020.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion with a second. Anything on the question or on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And I believe there was a couple late motions. I know Larry has the wording on one. I have one before we get to Larry's. It's from the town board. Motion to abolish the town of Wheatfield employment position of Director of Personnel effective at the close of business on Friday, February 9th, 2018. Said abolishment of the position of Director of Personnel is due to town budgetary reasons and due to a consolidation of duties within the town of Wheatfield administrative staff and elected officers.
I'll make the motion. Have a second? Gents?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Anything on the question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
And then I believe there's one more motion, but I think Larry has the wording on that for a public hearing.
Yes, last week, we had a meeting at the DOT's office in Buffalo regarding the River Road waterfront trail along River Road between Gratwick Park and basically Griffin Park in Niagara Falls. And Wendell has created, I guess, 5 different alternatives for that trail. We're positioning this. The DOT hasn't officially taken the project over, but this public hearing is something that we need to get done so that they see that the public in that particular area would be in favor of this thing transitioning over from the town to the New York State DOT. It'd be a good thing for the town. 2 good reasons is that the trail would be completed. The second good reason is the town taxpayers would have to fit the bill to put that trail in. So, and that's basically what I was hearing from that meeting. I mean, Supervisor McSwan couldn't make that meeting. His stepson was in a bad accident last week, if you haven't heard. But I did attend. I know Wendell was there. Am I saying that right, Tim? The DOT is, you know, they won't come out and say that they're going to take over the project, but they're behind the scenes. They're positioning themselves to take it over if we get this one final step in, correct? And there's been some other movement. I think the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation out of Detroit, Michigan, is looking to put a lot of money into this trail, and that may be another. Have you heard anything more on that or no? Tim Walk said nothing. But there may be some additional grant money, but if they get that grant money, the DOT would be working with that money and using it to finish the project. So I have a motion to schedule a public hearing on the proposed River Road waterfront trail on February 27th at the Town Community Center from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
I'll second your motion, Larry.
On the question though, that, I don't know for sure that the community center is available that night. We're almost there. There's nothing on the website. It looks like it may be free. Did you hear anything yet, Mike, or no? What's that? We're only gonna be on half, we're gonna only have half the room. You don't have the whole room, do you? So, we should be able to fit it. It'd be a Tuesday, February 27th at 6 p.m. And,
Is that your
I think
motion?
we'll need, just still in the comment, I think the assessor's office, if they could get us addresses, will probably, like we did when they had the questionnaires for the trail on different alternatives. I think we mailed, letters to the residents in that area, and we may wanna make sure that we, touch base with everyone out that way. Probably be a couple hundred letters going out
Thank you, Bridget.
in the community center.
Okay, our grants writer, Bernie?
I've got a question. Can we change that date, Larry? 'Cause I'm out of town that week, and I really would like
The
to
only
be
other
there.
day I can have it is, Wednesday the 28th.
Yeah, I'm out the whole week.
Can we do it the following week, Larry?
We've got some time constraints here because the DOT is positioning to get some additional funding and they,
All right, I'll have someone else there for me.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I don't think now Kim Zuber, do we have much room or leeway on the? Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
So we're still on for February 27th at the community center?
yes,
And you put that to a motion, Larry?
I did.
Okay. Have a second on the motion?
I think Gil seconded.
Okay, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is scheduled. And, Tim, I'm assuming then you'll be, entertaining the public hearing, you'll be, your company will be there to set it up? Okay. Okay. Okay, great. And is DOT gonna be at that meeting?
I don't believe so.
No?
No, the deal, they may have representatives in the background sitting and watching,
Okay.
but it's a,
But we
it's
should
a-
probably-
It's a public information meeting put on by the town with Wendell Engineers.
Mhm.
I think it's gonna be similar to like the Niagara Falls Boulevard reconstruction project and some other ones
Okay.
that they've had where they'll set up different it's not gonna be one speaker sitting at a podium. As I think the DOT kinda gave us some guidelines on how they wanted it to be run, but, and then Wendell has those guidelines.
But at least, we would notify DOT that we are having a public hearing so they're aware that we're moving along. Okay? Matt, you're done with your motions?
Yes, that's it for me.
Okay, Larry, you're still up. What do you have for us?
I think we covered everything I had tonight.
Okay, thanks. Gil Doucette.
I don't have anything, everything's been covered.
Okay. Kurt Doctor.
Yes, I do have something. I just wanted to take a minute and introduce and welcome a new small business to Wheatfield. Jim and Tara Scaringi have launched Synergy Nutrition and Wellness along with Be Moved Fitness, and it's in a location on Niagara Falls Boulevard, right across from the Niagara Gun Range. And their vision for what it's going to be is to create a one-stop wellness facility to improve the community nutritionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that will include just about every fitness class you can imagine: yoga, spinning, Zumba, Pilates, kickboxing. Personal trainers will be available. Nutrition products will be for sale there. Chiropractic care will be available. Mental health counseling. Massage therapy and sauna treatments, and even midwives and doulas, so pretty much the full gamut there. So Jim and Tara are actually Wheatfield residents, and they're super excited to be bringing these healthy options to Wheatfield. The business started up in December, and it actually employs 15 people, so that's I think really great for Wheatfield. And a formal grand opening is in the works and will be announced later. And I would just invite everybody to stop in and see it for themselves. That's it.
Thank you. Just a note, and Kurt, thank you. I did stop there and talk to the owner. It's a beautiful facility. If anybody knows where Schaefer Kennels was, that's where it is, and he purchased the property. So it's not a rental or a lease. They're putting their heart and soul into that business. And I was truly impressed when I went through the facility. I said, why did I hear about this before? And I can tell you that sometime this spring, they're going to have a grand opening, and I think anybody that has the opportunity to go will really enjoy it and see a great service there for the town of Wheatfield. Thanks, Chris. Okay. Randy is off. He had a slight surgery, and he'll be back at the next meeting. And tonight, I just wanted to mention that I met this week with our disaster preparedness coordinator, working on to update our disaster preparedness equipment in the town of Wheatfield. We are looking at bringing it up to date. It's been a few years since it's been changed, and Mark Zarbo, who is the coordinator, is going to be working with the fire companies, visiting the departments to check on equipment and what's available for any disaster that may happen in the town. So hopefully we'll get that back up online. The other thing, I stopped today at the Menny's Garden Artistry, and if anybody remembers, Menny's was down on the boulevard and they closed up. And I stopped and they're unpacking boxes and they're packing and getting ready to go. But it's going to be a nice facility. They will do landscaping, landscape design and installation, sod installation, seasonal landscape maintenance, landscape lighting, and special Christmas decorating. So it's nice to have them in Wheatfield also, and I got to speak with the people over there. And again, welcome to Wheatfield. Other than that, I think that's all I have. I've been meeting with the department heads, and we're looking at cutting spending wherever we can within reason. So far, so good. And we have a great group of department heads. Thank you, guys. That's all I have. Next meeting will be February 26th we're having a public hearing that afternoon. Yeah, so at 6:45 will be the public hearing, and a regular meeting will take place at 7 o'clock. Any public input on anything that was discussed tonight? Yes, Julie?
Hi, I had two questions. One, how many special lighting districts are there in Wheatfield, since we brought up lighting? Two, in some of the subdivisions, they have more of a decorative light. So I'm just wondering, when you were talking about costs, is that more expensive to the developer? And then the next question I had is, you said that you were going to send out notices to the people that were like near the bike path or the Greenway Trail. Is there a way to send out an announcement to everybody? Because it really, ultimately, I understand that it probably affects their property most, but it's something that the whole town will be able to enjoy, that bike path. So maybe if we could cast a wider net on that, that'd be fantastic.
We'll have something on the website for sure about the public hearing. The River Road residents, some of them, there could be some easement, that opportunities there that they need to be aware of. So, but
maybe
as far as notifying every resident,
too.
it'll be like any other public meeting. It'll probably be posted on the website and in the newspapers like we normally do.
And then the lighting, how many special lighting districts
I know
are there?
Bridget can probably answer that.
I'm sorry, 3? Can you say where they are?
Liberty Drive, Ashwood,
Ashwood.
Liberty Drive. Is Liberty Drive one by itself or no? Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, and then what about the decorative lighting? Who bears that cost?
What
Like when you are in a subdivision and they have more upscale lighting versus the street light that's on the pole, who bears that cost?
Right, so what happens is if a developer wants nicer light standards like you see in Ashwood, they will be required to establish a lighting district for that subdivision. So then the residents in there pay for that cost for the light.
Okay, but you said those 3 districts, but then there's Spice Creek that has nice lighting. There's Timberlands. there's other places that have those lights, so then where did the cost come out in those? What's the one to the right of,
I'm really not
if you're coming
sure.
down Shawnee on the right-hand side,
That's
like
Timber
Cottonwood?
Lakes.
On the other side, like the boulevard would be behind you, heading north. I'm just saying that there's other places with some of the better lights, so,
Wildwing.
yeah, maybe that was it, so.
So I've really just gotten into figuring out this lighting just recently, so all I know is when the developer wants to put in something that's greater than what the town
Would you
standard
check into
is.
that, Tim, and let me know?
We just want it to
Could
be
you?
equitable.
Yeah. Sure.
And there are areas that still need lights,
Yeah.
according to our zoning. So, anyway, one on the corner of Shawnee and, where Maddie's is, there needs a light there, so, anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Julie. You know, one thing I did forget that came in late this afternoon, excuse me, but we have, I talked to a lady at church yesterday from the American Red Cross, and in April, they're going to be providing free smoke detectors to anybody in Niagara County, and I left some brochures down here, and they will actually come out and install them and do a review of your home if necessary. And if you get a chance to take a look at the brochures, they're working in coordination with local fire companies, volunteer fire companies. But it says between April 28th and May 13th, 2018, the American Red Cross will team up with fire departments, volunteers, and partners of the Sound the Alarm, Home and Fire Safety, and Smoke Alarm Installation events. Volunteers will install 100,000 free smoke alarms in more than 100 at-risk communities across the county. So if you know of anybody that's in need for smoke detectors, you want to be involved with the program, there's contact people on here. This is sponsored by the Red Cross. That's all I have. So. And there are some copies down front here. Hey, Dave. When did you sneak in? I'm sorry, Dave Godfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Couple quick updates countywide. Just over the weekend was an article about the extension of broadband. The governor put out more money from federal funds. It's a little misleading when the headline said Niagara County is not going to get any money. There are a lot of funds there, even at the federal level. A lot of those funds now have been opened back up for Verizon. Now, Charter, Spectrum, we've always known are not going to reach that last mile, that last trial, when there's only 3 or 4 homes on the road. Verizon had the opportunity to do that because they're fixed wireless. So we're very excited that governor put some more money out. Verizon has got a good bucket now to work from. So we're going to be working, continue to work with Verizon, Spectrum, Charter, and Spectrum to extend their cable service. But the most rural roads, which we feel does have some, we'll be working with Verizon to see if they can then get those last few miles covered. So that's not over. There's a lot more to go. Is it going to be done by the end of 2018? It's not. There's too much that's got to be done. So I just want to correct a couple little things there that are as far as Verizon. Our lake levels are rising a little bit higher than we were at this date last year as of today. We're expecting flooding. I don't think it's going to probably go up in the structure, so you guys should be okay. Got a cottage on the lake. Jonathan Schultz, our EMS coordinator, has got all of the pumps already being rebuilt on the Wheatfield. We've got the sandbags, everything's ready to go. Those that do have property that goes down on the lake, you know it's going to flood. We've anticipated it, and I want you to know that we're doing the best we can to prepare for that. Lastly, in regard to your one motion here, where you're referring to the farmland zoning law, I believe, Mr. Supervisor, you have a letter inviting you this Wednesday
Yes.
to a meeting around Vita County for the towns that surround our area. And this is for the purpose of protecting the encroachment on the bay. So all of the towns surrounding the bay, including Pendleton, which is the guide path into the bay, come to the county at 1 6 2 o'clock.
Yes.
Across the street from the courthouse. And we'd like to share with you as much information as we can as we look forward to the zoning, the planning, etc. So that all the towns can have all the ammunition they can as we're looking at the zoning and how we can protect the enforcement on the bay. So person with the top number one score, and the government, Pentagon, raised the vulnerabilities of their employees. So it's extremely important that we successfully have out there. So, before the senior,
Yes, we have two members going, myself and Richard Muscatello. And just as a note, we also have a focus group heavily involved in looking at the zoning around here for protecting that area. Thanks, Dave. Okay, anything else that was discussed tonight? Anybody have anything on that?
I had one more item.
Okay, Larry.
We're going to be doing in the next couple of months some census. We're going to be inventorying all of our houses, all of our apartments, anywhere that somebody lives. You're going to hear the word LUCA, which stands for Local Updated Census Addresses. The town of Wheatfield has asked to be a partnership with the federal government to receive, and it's pretty confidential. I had to sign my life away to get on their material so that we could get that database so that we know who the federal government thinks is an address of where someone lives. And they only do this every 10 years. So they did it in 2010, and they're going to be doing it again in 2020. But 2020 still seems like it's a ways away. But we actually give them our inventory this year. So, where we're going to have houses or apartments, and 10 years ago we did this process, and it was a good. The taxpayers benefited because we made sure we had everything counted, and we received more county tax dollars because of the number of people that live in Wheatfield. We're one of the few communities that population actually increased. And if you look at the Buffalo newspaper, I think last weekend or something, they were showing communities and where population has gone up and where it's gone down, and I think we were number 3 as far as being up. So our population is still growing, not as much as it used to grow, but it's going to help us as far as getting tax dollars from the county in 2020, and then whatever we get in 2020, we have for 10 years. So that whatever that percentage or ratio is, once it's calculated, we have to live with that number for 10 years. So this is our one opportunity to make sure, and we'll be, the supervisor knows that we're going to be probably, putting someone on part-time to help us do that activity. Make sure that, they go through all the building permits and make sure that every house address, because Washington doesn't always know where everybody lives in your town. So it's going to be a very, very important step that we make sure that we get everything counted right.
Thank you, Larry. Motion to adjourn? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.